If you aren't an alcoholic and are also lactose intolerant, aged like wine is one of two historical pre-internet terms that have been in parallel watered down into brain-dead Twitter replies, the other being aged like milk, wine's counterpart. And just think about how wine and milk age respectively. One gets better, one gets worse the longer you look at it. If something ages like milk, it means that a statement or prediction made in the past proved to not be even close to the truth, often embarrassingly so after enough time has passed to know. Whereas aged like wine means that a statement predicting the future was incredibly correct and can then be lorded over people on account of how correct you were and how wrong they were. Unfortunately, this ends up not being the case because a lot of these correct predictions are about incredibly dire circumstances that no one wanted to be correct about. So most people who have the privilege don't get to use it on account that they don't want to on moral ground. We've looked at the aged like milk subreddit before because of course there are subreddits dedicated to both of these. So today I wanted to look at the inverse r/aged like wine. If you enjoy this video, this card at the end will take you to that aged like milk video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you never miss an upload. Now of course I want to start with my major contribution to the aged like wine subreddit. Over 6 years ago, on March 6, 2019, I said, "Summoning Circle, hope this works." New Pokémon Mystery Dungeon came. And there was a Nintendo Direct roughly a year later, a little less, that said, indeed, a new PMD game was coming out. There hadn't been one since the 3DS generation, so I was feeling proud of myself. And the crazy part was that I made that tweet a year to the day that that game was gonna come out. I didn't even clock that until it got it posted to that subreddit, and I felt very proud of myself for something that was physically impossible to plan after the fact. Fair warning, these things will get a little political. If you go to Aged Like Wine and sort by top of the last year, it's gonna be all stuff about Trump. There's gonna be a little bit of that in this video, because I do not make my political leanings a secret, but this is the start of that, and I did try to make sure there was a decent chunk of E for everyone content in here. And everybody can laugh at a good Richard Nixon joke. When the president does it, that means that it's not illegal. See, some people will view this as a really prescient thing, one of the smarter things Nixon has said over his term. But the truth of the matter is, there's a really high chance that he was just drunk as shit or absolutely hopped up on painkillers. He was floating pretty much through that entire administration. He asked to nuke countries several times while he was just off his rocker and had to be stopped by members of his cabinet. It's kind of fucking awesome if you think about it. A guy with a hairline that literally looks like a W, handing out nothing but L's to himself and the rest of the world. God, what were we doing? Anyways, the caption reads, and the reason it was posted 3 months ago, 48 years ago, this was considered an outrageous statement. Now it's just an accurate description of presidential power. It's time to lib it up in this bitch. Liberal. We'll get there. From the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and a joke that, if you've watched it, made you laugh if you know Marvel history, Wesley Snipes says, "There's only been one blade. There's only ever gonna be one blade." I feel like there's a 30% chance that whoever wrote this joke had this screenshot getting posted in subreddits like this in mind. Like, they knew it was going to go one way or the other. They are going to get top of Reddit regardless of how the situation goes. It's as close to a win-win bet as you can make, as long as you don't actually have money riding on it. For context's sake, the original Blade trilogy, starting in 1998, starred Wesley Snipes, and Deadpool and Wolverine took place in like a kind of extra dimensional shit. It's not important. Basically, it was an excuse to bring out a lot of cameos for characters in the past from like the Fox era of Marvel movies. And in recent years, a new Blade reboot had already been announced, starring Mahershala Ali. The thing is, this thing has been through production fucking hell, about as much as any film can go through it. Mahershala Ali is one of the greatest actors of his generation, and his career has been stalled because he has been trying to make this thing work. And how hard can it be? Sinners, a very much loved original IP in the last few years from Ryan Coogler, has been pretty well liked, and supposedly it was originally pitched as a Blade movie. The thing's been in production hell for, I'm pretty sure, over half a decade at this point, and it just sounds like it's completely being canned, and all the work that was put into something that'll never get made is exactly that, never getting made. An incredible way to live a Hollywood career, and I'm sure everyone involved is really happy about this development. Also, real quick, today is genuinely, actually, no scam, no joke, shout out Scrubby, the last day you can get my limited edition U2's vinyl figure. This was supposed to go off the market last week, but I became annoyingly ill in the middle of the product campaign, so U2's decided to be nice to me, and they gave me an extra week. But today is genuinely the last day, and you'll never have to listen to me promo this shit again. And let's be honest, why wouldn't you get one? Several of you have hallucinated me in your homes already, so why not make it real? This little guy goes everywhere. You can put me on a shelf, next to your bed, at a loved one's grave, and of course, I fit in a jar. Besides, it's not like I could stop you once you get your hands on me anyways. And I really did put a decent chunk of my pussy into this. There are a lot of thought out small details in both the packaging and the figure itself that I think y'all will enjoy when you get your hands on it. That said, come tomorrow, May 27th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, this guy is gone forever and he's never coming back. He's available at the first link in the description, and if you do decide to purchase him, it is much appreciated. Real quick, I want to check in on my favorite creator on the internet, Haley Welch, aka the Tuah girl, or Tuah girl. I forget how she said it already, man. 15 minutes go by really quick. The Tuah girl is on minute 14 of her 15 minutes of fame. There are only a few options left for her. Crypto scam, political grifter, or OnlyFans. Let's see how this plays out. I'm gonna be honest, in the early days of the Tuah podcast, I really was planning on making a video going through the available episodes and giving my commentary on it. I wrote like a whole 10-page script treatment, but then I realized that would have been outdated by the time episode 4 came out because I only watched the first 3. So I had to completely fucking sag it. But if you had to ask me then, my guess, based on the guest she was having on, would have been political grifter. To me, it was the one she'd have to change the least about her life in order to fall into, and also where she could retain a decent amount of agency in how she does things day to day. And that's why I think she should be forgiven for the crypto scam. I think she was a victim too. Not really. I just don't know why this deep in people go to crypto as the pivot for them to like live. Being a grifter and doing OnlyFans just have so much longer shelf lives than the crypto scam, and honestly by the end of it you'll probably have made more money with less chance of going to jail because of it. That said, she did go for the Tuah coin, and now it has a dedicated Wikipedia scandal entry. And who knows, maybe this shit is just worth it because there is not going to be any criminal action for this kind of behavior in the near future, and lawsuits can never take away the amount of profit you ended up making off scamming this many people. But yeah, this is where it ended up. The coin reached a market capitalization of nearly 500 million before plummeting to 25 million. I'm still not sure on how the specifics of rug pulls work, but I can only imagine she made out with a very pretty penny by the end of that. Or if she was properly scammed, got no money, and the people who managed to get one over on her are swimming in it, like Scrooge McDuck level shit. Speaking of, if you guys ever do get like fuck ugly rich, do not make a pool of gold coins and then try to jump in it off a diving board. The cartoons lied to you. You will break your fingers and several other parts of your body, if not die. Here we have Pink, oh my god, like 16 years ago at this point, saying Kanye West is the biggest piece of shit on earth. Quote me. Okay, here's where the nuance comes in with the aged like wine crowd. You can make very vague statements that end up being very, very true, but the reason you were motivated to say them at the time might be different than why they end up being true very far down the line. So for the sake of the audience, because I don't have a clear sense of time, like at all, even in the modern day as an adult, I'm going to look up for you what Kanye did on September 13th, 2009. Oh, is when he went up on stage when Taylor Swift won a music video award and said Beyonce had one of the best music videos of all time. It was rude, and he was drunk, which doesn't make it all right, but I'm gonna be honest, Pink, this is what made you call him the biggest piece of shit on earth. Bin Laden was still kicking. And wasn't this about the single ladies music video too? Like, the problem with making this exact comment about what was happening then is it's just like, man, that's out of touch. Like, what are the stakes you're working with? Like, it could be the biggest piece of shit you've ever had the displeasure of meeting, if that's what you want to say. But it wasn't even over like a universally agreed upon opinion at the time, I don't think. Not even now. Alright, here we have a Facebook post that ended up aging really well. Damn, I don't think you're gonna see a lot of those in this video. Grimes is gonna break Musk's heart and he's gonna turn into a fucking supervillain. Posted in September 28th, 2018. Like, I think he was at odds with Trump back then. That's crazy. Even then, this wasn't even the only guy saying it. You had literal Stephen Colbert video thumbnail saying Elon Musk might be a supervillain. And a lot of people wouldn't agree that the line between them is the same as is the line between hero and villain. Yeah, if you want another aged like wine thing, 9 years ago from Stephen Colbert, Elon Musk might be a supervillain. It's crazy that Elon is more ideologically aligned with the conservative parody Colbert used to do than he is with the guy Colbert is now, and Elon is now, to be fair. Colbert's not really changed much ideologically. A prediction of 2023 from 1923. Damn, 100 years on, man. I hate motherfuckers who are correct a century ahead of time. It's like, man, if only you had warned us stronger than you did already. Someone dreamed the other night that he was living in the year 2023, and people were going on strike because they only got $125 a day, while the price of eggs had gone up to $10 a dozen. So I did a little math on my calculator here, and I decided to use incredibly generous math. So let's put this in the context of inflation, right? The consumer price index as of January 2025, which might be even worse right now, said it was $4.95 for a dozen grade A large eggs. The issue is the current minimum wage is not $125 a day. You get that math by dividing 125 by 8, and that would mean a slightly over $15 minimum wage. $15 is barely the minimum wage and not adequate to be living a life off that salary in any of the states that's the mandated wage. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 times 8, which gives you a little less than $60 a day. Now, to be fair, a lot of even like entry-level jobs are offering like 10 to 11 right now. The truth is, none of these are adequate. They're all half measures if they even get to half of what somebody needs in a month off minimum wage. The point is, it's all fucking unaffordable and it doesn't work. This is a predicament you've probably seen a lot. If you live in Europe, you're always laughing whenever you see someone give a billion-dollar tech presentation on coming up with the next big idea, and it's something that's already existed for centuries. Uber to introduce fixed route shuttles in major US cities designed for commuters. I wonder what this could be at all analogous to. Very innovative Silicon Valley tech company accidentally invents the bus. Guys, I have an even better idea for this shit, and I'm not about to say trains, trust. Imagine if we could adapt existing infrastructure so it costs less, and we created like a unique lane. We like adding lanes to roads in America, right? So what if we added a specialty lane for trams, or, streetcars. They have a lot of them in a lot of cities in America, and they're used to be a very big part of the infrastructure, very worth investing in, I think. Either way, Uber's just gonna be inventing a shittier version of an existing technology without any of the infrastructure to uphold the load that it would ideally be able to support. A waste of fucking time, man. In February 2nd, when Elon Musk was well into his Doge activities, somebody said, "It's going to be funny when Musk keeps slashing USAID and 4chan goes down." Like, I could see it as a reasonable prediction that Elon was going to cut the funding for a lot of different US government groups, like USAID among them. But 4chan going down around the same time it absolutely did give me a grin from here to here. That lasted about 2 seconds before I realized what that meant for the wider world. I don't know if luckily is the correct word, but I'm gonna say it. Luckily, 4chan came back, so those type of people still had a place to go. I definitely don't ever peruse certain sections of that websites that appeal to my interest. I'm very normal. There's plenty of fucking average folk on there who just enjoy the discussion that goes on in the form that it does, very anonymously. So it's hard to hate on someone wanting to stay anonymous and be able to interact with community with things that they're interested in. So I'm going to move on quickly from this. They did it again. This one's 6 months old, but do y'all remember the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight? I feel like most people could have seen that coming. The only difference is, with me and them, I think it was a strategically chosen opponent that Jake Paul knew beyond all stats he was going to win. I mean, like, you see it with his upcoming fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. That's pretty much the same deal, man. He's not fighting anyone under 40. And to be fair, 8 fights into his professional career, he's absolutely taken on harder opponents than most contenders do, but he's doing it with a different MO in mind. Because most upcoming contender fighters do not make money on their early fights, so they're not worth risking as much as they are on the payday they get for them, which is much smaller than Jake Paul gets for his fight. That said, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, as far as I can tell, are genuine friends, so I can imagine Jake was like, "Listen, man, I know you're in like a fuck ton of gambling debt. I have an easy way for you to get a payday and also to get me a win." Is it weird that I have more respect for Jake Paul for fighting old people than I do for Logan Paul trying to fight washed up old people after the fact, or even people closer to his age that are just even worse opponents somehow than what Jake Paul's taken on? Dude, stick to wrestling. Okay, here's a fun meta one. Which form of entertainment do you think will change the most in the 21st century? These all have a common theme of how they're gonna change, but I'm gonna read them all out, then give you my answer. Books. They'll probably probably all be electronic. Music, I might be able to personalize a radio station on the internet. Graphic design, computers will let people do whatever they want. Oh man, that one might be the worst. Television, I'll be able to program what I want to watch. In movies, they'll get downloaded right to my home. So I have two criteria that I'm judging this by. What changed the most, and what prediction about how it will change was most correct. I think the most correct about how it will change is graphic design, especially now. Like, as much as we hate it, AI has made the field incredibly accessible, and it's like how you see it used most, and most obviously. Like, you can tell when something's AI, but somebody was able to get a hold of a visual in their head with minimal effort as a result of it. And I think the most correct statement here was probably books. They'll probably all be electronic, but it's just become a less consumed medium overall. I think music is probably the closest. I might be able to personalize a radio station on the internet. That's what we call a playlist, or the term existed for a while. I'm just being obtuse, but yeah. And to cap us off, here is one more meta post that kind of predicted exactly how you are consuming me right now. In 1999, there are millions of websites, all hyperlinked together, a vast interconnected web. In 2019, there are 4 websites, each filled with screenshots of the other 3. Someone replies, I see that this photo has been cropped to hide the fact that it's a screenshot of a tweet. Somebody else couldn't wait to see the screenshot of this on Reddit, and here I am on the 4th website showing it to you right now. Anyways, that's all I got. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. Remember, my YouTube is only available for 1 more day. No way! That card I mentioned should be on screen. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see y'all next time.